Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jordan. We are back with another educational recap. It's been a long time since we've made one of these videos, but I think it's super important that we get back into them. I'm going to show you guys how I execute, how I find my setups, my levels, and you can use any of this information for market commentary, pro analysis, analyst trades, obviously the watch list, and just anything we provide in our service. So today I'm just going to be going over IWM, Tesla, and Starbucks. So first here I have IWM. This was something that I posted in the pre-market plan, and I have the trigger levels and targets here. So now let's just dive into it and I'll show you guys exactly what I was seeing. So IWM made a nice 8 to 10% move off the low here. Price action was pretty clean in an uptrend. And then pre-market, I noticed price was pulling back into this area here. So going into the session, I highlighted that I really like this play going short as long as we held this 180.94 and price broke clean below this UTL. So you guys can see I got this 180.94 from this level here. You can see it a little bit more clear on the 30-minute time frame. It was used as resistance before we finally broke out and used it as support, and then it was also right where the UTL was broken. So that's how I got the 180.94, and then some of the bigger target levels like 178.99. You guys can see it was resistance here and support here. So that's really how I identify my triggers and my targets, and you guys can see here on 176.24 it was used as support here as well. And then like I've talked about in previous videos, there are three main components of flags, right? Or UTLs or DTLs, whatever you want to call it. So here this 180.94 is the point of the breakout or breakdown in this situation. And then this area, this 176.24 is the pivot area. So the pivot area is usually the middle point of the flag, and then the range break is usually the bottom of it. Now obviously we weren't going to dump all the way back down to 168.90. I'm just giving you guys a general idea of how you can, draw out further targets on your charts. So this is the setup that I saw in the 65-minute, and then now let's take it down to an intraday time frame to see how you could have executed. So like I said, going into today, I really like this play going short, and I wanted to see us hold below this UTL and our 180.94. So in the morning, this was a nice play here right below the first target, below 180.11. You could have gotten a nice 20-30% here, but really there was a lot of chop the first hour of open. We were holding below the 180.94, but there wasn't really a clear setup until around 11 o'clock. So you guys can see here, price kept rejecting 180.94. We got a close below VWAP, and we also got a close below the UTL. So this was a very clean, crisp play. The RSI was below 50. We had an increase on selling volume. We were below VWAP, and we had a clean pattern. So these are the type of setups you want to be looking for on an intraday time frame. Once you find the setup on a 30-minute or a 65-minute, you then want to bring it down to a 5-minute or a 10-minute or a 15-minute so you can really pinpoint the entries. So this is where you want to be entering the trade here, with your risk being anything above 180.94 or a close above the breakdown candle. So this is something that we really talk about in the course as well, and this is just a very easy setup that you could have taken. Now, if you're playing weeklies, you're getting the most amount of premium right here on this dump or day ofs, right? It was flying at this point. And it's very important to know, I even posted in the pre-market plan that, you guys could either play day ofs, Friday expirations, or next Fridays. If you're newer, I suggest that you guys buy a little bit more time on your contracts. I suggest like 2 weeks out or monthlies. You're not going to make as much money on day ofs or weeklies, but you're not exposing yourself to as much risk. So when you're starting out, you guys just want to go for those, 20-30% plays. You guys don't want to be exposing yourself to, day of premium. You can make a lot of money, but you could also blow your account in minutes. Even on, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out expiration, this was a great move going to the downside. You guys want to be scaling out most into the targets and then just leaving runners for the further dump during the day. So this is just a 5-minute look, and now I want to go to a 15-minute look. And like I said, once you identify the setup, you want to be using the 5-minute to 10-minute for kind of more pinpoint entries, and then the 15-minute and the 30-minute to be able to stay in winning trades longer. So you guys can see we got a huge breakdown candle here on the 15-minute. We closed below the UTL, and we continued to dump lower. And if you were just looking at the 15-minute, it could have kept you in this trade a lot longer. We never got back above the 50 line on the RSI. We never even got close to VWAP, and there was no reason to exit your short runners on this play. So price action was very clean. We identified the setup on the 65-minute. I show you guys how I got the levels, And overall, this was just a very easy play that you could have taken going to the downside. It worked absolutely perfectly. So now, other than IWM, we also had Tesla. And first, let's go to the 65 minute and I'll show you guys what I saw. So here we had this flag or this wedge. Price action was getting tight in this area. And for the upside targets, I wanted to see this 764.48 clear. This would have been above the DTL. And then we would have been targeting this 774.25 and this 787.35. So that was the bull case. Those were the call levels and the targets in the watch list. And then the downside targets were, if we broke this UTL, I wanted to see this pivot low right here, 744.82 break, and then target 739.73, 728.85. So again, like I said in the last example, there are three main components: the point of the breakout or breakdown, the pivot point, and then the range breaks. So you guys can see we got to this pivot point here, 728.85, and then we found some support in this area here. Now, if we were to break this area during the session or tomorrow, the next target would be 680. So that's just what I saw on Tesla on the 65 minute. And then now let's go down to a 5 minute and I'll show you guys how you could have executed. So I'll just delete these so you can see it a little more clearly, kind of get rid of some of the noise here. Like I said again, on IWN, there was a lot of chop in the morning. Yes, there were some short opportunities here. We held that 739.73 nicely. We made a nice move higher. And you could have made, good money during this chop here, but ultimately for the big plays and the big moves, you guys want to be looking for a setup. So again, just like IWM, we had a beautiful UTL here. We got the close below VWAP, the close below the UTL, and the 744.82 level, and we continued to move lower into our targets. So again, if you are getting in on this candle here on the first touch, or if you're waiting for the breakdown candle, your stop is simply right here. Anything back above this can be your stop or high a day if you want to expose yourself to more risk. But notice how once we got that close below VWAP, the close below the UTL, and the close below 744.82, price just dumped all day. We got the RSI below 50, we got increased selling volume. So when you're looking at these kind of plays, you guys want to have a checkbox, and you want to be quick with your checkbox. You guys want to be making sure the RSI is above or below 50, above or below VWAP. You guys want to make sure there's good volume. And these are just things you can look at, and it kind of gives you more validation for your trades. So we have a really clean setup. We checked off everything in our box, and this is a play where you can just let the trade ride out. You can take off most of the position into the targets here, and then the way you can stay in a winning trade longer is focusing again, like I said, on higher time frames, 15-minute, 30-minute time frames, and just let the play, do its thing. So you could take off most of your size into this dump, and then you could leave 1 to 2 runners to do the rest of the damage. So a lot of you guys DM me and ask me, oh my God, I always sell too early. How do I stay in these winning trades longer? And obviously it's harder if you're only playing with 1 to 2 contracts, but I know a lot of you guys play with 5 to 10. So if that's one of you guys and you're in with, 5 to 10 contracts, you could take off 3 to 5 here, another 2 here, and then you could leave 1 or 2 for this move later in the day. So you can make most of your money on this move here, and then you could just leave 1 runner with a 50% trail stop to do the rest. That's what I do a lot of, guys. I take off most of the trade into my first initial targets, and then I'll slap on a 50% stop for the rest. So this way you already made the majority of your money on the initial move, and then since you only have 1 to 2 contracts left, you're not really risking that much, and then you also have a trail stop on that play. So if you have a full-time job or you're busy with your family or whatever, you can just slap on a trailing stop and let the play do its thing. Once you get in the trade on a 5-minute or a 2-minute or a 1-minute, whatever you do, you then want to switch to a 10-minute or a 15-minute so you can stay in the trade longer. So this was just a great play on Tesla, and this is something that was an absolute banger off the watch list. And then next was SBUX. This was something that we took in the morning, again on the 65-minute. They had earnings and price action was looking pretty ugly. Let's go to the daily so we can look at it here first. We had this gap here, but 8 out of the 10 sessions we were red. I was looking for this gap to get filled below and break this 72.84 first. So you guys can see we had 2 consecutive inside days. So I wanted to see price action break this candle here. It's going to go for a bigger move. So this is just what I saw on the daily. And then now let's bring it back to a 30-minute. You guys can see the levels right here. So 72.84 was this low right here. We got that first 30-minute close below and below VWAP. One thing about VWAP as well, if you guys look at a 30-minute time frame and you guys can see that first candle close above or below, that's a big telltale sign on where price is going for the session. That's something that's in our course as well. So with that said, now let's go down to a 5-minute or a 15-minute. I'll pull up the 15-minute here, zoom in a little bit, and you guys can see right here. So there was a little pop in the morning and then just some consolidation here around the high of day. This was a great green to red move now that I'm looking at it as well. So price made that move higher in the morning. We consolidated right here for a few minutes, and then we got that breakdown candle below VWAP. So in this situation here, you're then looking for a close below 72.84, and you want to see price stay below. So once we got that first close below VWAP, and then once we got that close below low a day, or 72.84, you guys can see we never even got back to VWAP. So if you're in a trade right here, your risk is anything back above VWAP. If you want to be a little more risky, it could be high a day. But really, once we get that breakdown candle below, it could be 72.84 or VWAP. So this was a play that I took right here on the breakdown candle, and my stop was simply anything above 72.84 or VWAP. It was a little bit choppy. I exited most of my position here, and I just left about half for a move lower if we broke low a day. I wanted to see us test that area on the gap, that 71.88 that I showed you guys on the daily. I was leaving runners for this point here. So as we chopped around, we made the move lower, we broke low a day. I took off most of my position here and just left a couple runners. And then, like I said, guys, if you're busy, if you have to go do something or whatever, you guys can slap on, a 50% trail stop, and it'll help you stay in those winning trades longer. I take off most of the position here, and then you could always leave 1 to 2 to do the rest of the work. This was a nice return here into 71.88. But this dump here into 70.85, this provided, a lot more. I remember the contracts were about 145, 150% down here. So that's how you can stay in winning trades longer. You guys can slap that 50% trail stop on your runners. And if you're someone who's buying over 10 contracts, it's pointless to sell the entire thing at once. You guys want to be leaving 1 to 2, and you guys want to throw a trail stop on them. You already made your money on the majority of the position, and then you can have that trail stop attached to your runners. So this way, if it continues to dump or run, you guys could make more money and take advantage of a bigger move. So with that being said, guys, that's going to be all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe and comment as well. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.